It's Fightful's The Hump with
Jimmy Van
and
Sean Ross Sapp.
Fightful.com. Yeah.
What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp. Welcome to Fightful. August 23rd, 2023. You know what time it is.
you sound like, was that guy's name Cornelius that was on Soul Train? Sound like that.
We have 1 hour, and you know what we're doing. We're humping.
This isn't going to get old at all. This is going to be fresh and new every single time he does it. It's not going to get old.
Somebody saying, is Sean drunk? Sean has never taken a drink of an alcoholic beverage in his life. Thank you. But what if I was a recovering alcoholic? Then you'd feel terrible. Don't say that.
Maybe they would.
Don Cornelius. That's me.
Don Cornelius.
I'm Sean Cornelius.
That actually kind of works, doesn't it?
It does. It does. What's up, guys? It's The Hump. It's August 23rd, 2023. Please leave a thumbs up on this video. We are over 100,000 strong here on YouTube. We are going to have just a stupid amount of interviews coming up. Just ones that I did in Georgia, ones I did in Detroit dropping as well. We've got Iridian going to Chicago next week. We've got Tempest doing work with us here, or not here, but in London. I'm doing stuff remotely too. We're going to be dropping a ton of them. Big shout out to NordVPN, who sponsors those, for making that happen. But keep your eye out. You do get early access on FightfulSelect.com as well. But if you're here right now, drop a super chat, drop a humper chat. We are a super chat and humper chat driven show. We want to talk about what you guys want to talk about. So you can do it here at youtube.com/Fightful or over at humperchats.com. This weekend is going to see an awful lot of shows between the SmackDown show, between Collision, between Grapsody, and Grapsody is doing our official All In post show on Sunday, which I'm very excited about. You can go over to humperchats.com, get those questions and statements in. We've already got several. Jimmy, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. You must be stoked. You get to go to All In and witness that spectacle. I wish I could go check it out. I just can't.
You can.
I got commitments here. I can't.
Okay.
But I would like to, because that's going to be a spectacle, man. It's going to be.
I'm not excited for London. I'm not excited for the travel. I'm not excited for the trip. There's very little work that I'll be doing there. It's more to, well, what I have learned, and you've kind of learned as well. When I am on the scene, information flows in a much different way. So there are times where it's a benefit and a detriment. I feel like here it will be a benefit for me to be there and to witness it. And of course, any wrestling show we attend now, there's, we can get shorts and content like that do very well for us. But we have somebody else doing the junket Friday. I don't know if I'm doing the scrum or not. I'm TBD on that. Don't know if I want to spend 4.5 hours after All In listening to people talk when everybody else is going to have the same content and AEW streams it themselves.
Well, especially if you're on EST, right? If you're on EST, then it's going to really kill you.
Well, it won't be as bad if I'm on EST. It'll actually be better for me because it'll be earlier in the day. I'm not adjusting. I'm not getting on British time at all. So I'll be keeping some pretty wild hours there. I fly out Friday night. I'm going to make sure I've got like my melatonin in my system and all that stuff before I fly out there, try to get a little sleep. But man, a lot happening over the next week. And if you guys are in Chicago, say hi to the Fightful peeps that are there too. Joel just did some interviews in Canada as well. He talked to Matt Taven. Yeah, he talked to Matt Taven of the Kingdom, AEW ROH. Lots of cool stuff going on.
Awesome. Well, before we get started, I have a personal note that I want to share.
Okay.
And it's not something I talk about publicly much, but I'm talking about it now, I guess. So for almost 20 years, and I think you know this, for almost 20 years, I've had an autoimmune disorder called alopecia. It's the same thing Jada Pinkett Smith has, which causes hair loss. And I decided to do a video series about it to kind of explain what it is and to tell my story. And so the first edition is going to be going up today Wednesday, August
Okay.
23rd at 5 p.m. Eastern time. It's going on the Know Your News YouTube channel, which it's spelled NEWZ. If you go to the Know Your News YouTube channel, or if you go to knowyournews.com, it's spelled the regular way, NEWS. But I'm putting that up there, like I said, just to kind of bring awareness, tell my story. If anybody has any kind of an autoimmune disorder, I might share your story too. So leave a comment on YouTube under the comments, and maybe I'll do that. And otherwise, I look forward to feedback.
Yeah, check it out, guys. We're going to go ahead, jump into some super chats, jump into some humper chats, Jimmy. We got Albert Ponce saying, any update on Carlito or Pillman signing with WWE? Pillman, no. I know that he had a tryout. It went fairly well. But Carlito hasn't done any bookings in 2 months. I don't think that's an accident. But again, we have seen people get signed and never used. Joel Wood says, other than Kyrie, do you see any new signings? Have you heard any new WWE signings? I have. There are more. Not any that I can double source or anything like that, but they have signed people, Jimmy, but they haven't used them. So we've heard Pillman, Carlito. I know Nia was rumored, Kyrie's rumored, but none of them have popped up on TV. Do you think this is an accident based on Vince being gone or the merger set to happen?
Yes, I think it's the merger. And I don't have any reason to think it, but it is expected. So the merger is supposed to be done within the next month. They are expecting, and I think PW Insider even did a story about it. They are expecting that there's going to be layoffs, probably administrative. I don't know so much talent, but I do understand that it would be a bad look if you're bringing in all these new wrestlers and then you cut a bunch of staff. From what I understand, people are walking on eggshells at Titan Tower, which is a shitty thing to go through. And so I can understand the optics of cutting a bunch of people. But by the way, here's a bunch of new signees. I think there's a correlation. But that's my kind of outsider perspective. But that's what I think.
RKO says, hey guys, was wondering if there was any update you can give on Tessa Blanchard. Would like to see her in Charlotte one day. Thank you guys for the content. So funny enough, Joel Pearl, he's going to be hosting the Q&A show with you this week, Jimmy. I'll be traveling.
Holy,
so you're doing
when
the
is
Q&A.
that? When am I doing that?
You get with Joel, because if you cancel it this time, I'm going to be mad.
I won't cancel it, but I forgot. But I won't cancel it.
Anyway, he's put some questions in there that I can answer. This is one of them. She is an XPW regular. She did a tour of Canada. I can tell you, I wouldn't say there was AEW interest in 2019, but there were definitely some people that were pushing for it to happen. But unless she goes on like a big apology tour, she's never going to get a shot in AEW or Impact or WWE.
Right.
And I had people close to her that said, well, what do you think she needs to do? And I said, I think she needs to reach out to everybody that she upset and apologize. And that's it. And apologize publicly.
Maybe she'll form a faction with Tyrus in the NWA.
Oh, boy.
Can you imagine?
Oh, boy. PVB says, any word on if there'll be a big casino battle royale to get more talent on the show? I haven't heard this. Jimmy and I were talking about it off the air. I had heard, they didn't want to fly everybody over there, but you could do it with like UK based talent too. You could get like Trent Seven and Zack Sabre Jr. and a lot of people like that who would probably still need flown in, but like Grado and a lot of people that are semi-local to that area and do something like that. I think that would be cool. Zach Zodiac, put him in there. Like a lot. I think that would make a lot of sense, Jimmy.
It's shocking to me that they haven't already planned that out, because an event of this magnitude, and we're going to get into it in a bit there, but they're going to break the paid attendance record. So when it's an event of this magnitude, I think Tony Khan said the gate's 10 million. And Andrew Zarian noted that there are already 90,000 advanced pay-per-view buys for U.S. domestic orders, which is a good number as a pre-buy. They're making money on the show. Why wouldn't you give your talent the opportunity to experience that spectacle? Like, why wouldn't you? You have to remember, most of the AEW talent came from the independent circuit. Most of them.
Yes.
Why wouldn't they give them the opportunity to be in the ring in front of 80,000 plus? When you're making that kind of money, Tony Khan has spent more money on frivolous bullshit like entrance music. You know what I mean?
Even more than you would imagine.
Yeah.
Like,
so why
there are things that you would think are public domain that he spent money on.
Right. So like, why wouldn't you give the talent that opportunity? It's not like you're flying them first class and putting them in a penthouse suite. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's shocking to me that they haven't planned that out already.
We're going to talk a lot more about All In. Dante says, hoping TK adds another women's match to All In. Kind of goofy. There's only one. I wouldn't expect it. If I were him, though, I would have really highlighted to my talent. I would have had a big talent meeting and said that Sunday, that Wednesday, that Friday, that Saturday, and that Sunday. Everything that week is important as a pay-per-view. You need to highlight that. Because I talked to Warner Brothers Discovery, and they had this entire week circled in their calendar for a long time. They're like, this is a shot for AEW to really say, we are it. We can do big things.
Right.
And I think that's what this week should have been, or next week should have been. Everything. Put Swerve and Keith Lee on there. Why not? They never did that match. Tie up a lot of loose ends from a pay-per-view perspective on even the TV shows. I think they really should have done that.
Interesting. Speaking of the women, because this kind of ties in, I guess, Jade Cargill. She's somebody I would have expected to see showcased at All In. Do you know if
she had planned time off?
Okay, like extended, I guess.
Yeah, she had planned time off after Double or Nothing. She was backstage at Dynamite 2 weeks ago. She's supposed to come back. I mean, people are speculating. She was supposed to come back. I don't know when, though.
Okay.
Any cool rumors for Friday's SmackDown? I'll be there. No, honestly, I didn't realize that it was in Louisville until last week. And I was like, hey, I wonder why Undertaker's doing a live show here Thursday, which I will be at. But I'll be on the plane.
That'd be cool.
I'll be on the plane, so I won't be able to go to that.
You gonna try to get a one-on-one with Taker there, Sean?
Yeah, I bet. I would love to.
Yeah.
He is an interview I'd like, and I would straight up say, listen, everybody's asked you a lot of the same things. I'd like to ask you about the fake Undertaker. I would like to ask you about Tuesday in Texas. I would like to ask you about a lot of different things that are just kind of random.
One of my favorite comments from The Undertaker was when he said the biggest mistake that he ever made was letting people know that he could talk at the Hall of Fame, because now they want him doing this shit. So I thought that was pretty funny.
Well, what happened was his deal was up, and they were like, all right, you're retiring, no big deal. Then when Conrad showed interest in, a stage show and podcast, they're like, let's get you under a 15-year deal. Well, then it's like, well, now what?
Yeah.
Well, you have him do a ton of media. You have him do one-man shows. You have him do Netflix movies. They have found creative ways to monetize The Undertaker.
Sure.
Plus, you then get to license him in any number of ways. KE775 says, should we read anything into Tiffany Stratton mentioning Becky Lynch last night? Wouldn't hate her in NXT for a short run. I wouldn't either. I wouldn't mind Becky Lynch showing up there, winning the NXT title, and then dropping it. I don't think this is ever an accident now, Jimmy. I think that when people are mentioned on NXT, I think it can lead to something, as we've seen with Judgment Day.
I agree. And after Trish, I mean, Becky's got nothing on the docket. So that makes sense, because I haven't seen the ratings yet this week, but they've shown with the ratings that doing the crossover with the main roster stars has really paid dividends. And it's also good for the NXT talent to get that experience too. So Tiffany, they've got big plans for her. You just know they do. She's got that Vince McMahon aesthetic, and her and Becky would make a lot of sense. So won't surprise me if they do it.
I've got an interview that's dropping with Baron Corbin over the next few weeks, whenever it fits. But we talked about some of the benefits, and Mustafa Ali is doing the same thing. They send people like that to NXT for a number of reasons. You see who can hang with them. You find out if these kids are any good. You find out who can work TV already. But also, these people are great performance evaluators. Like they said, Sean Waltman was often like that back in the day. If you couldn't have a good match with him, you weren't getting hired.
Right.
So with Mustafa Ali and Baron Corbin, it's much of the same. If you can't have a good match with them, you're probably not going to work out on the main roster style. So they kind of get to evaluate that and also help a ton of people as well.
And they also weren't doing anything.
Yeah.
You know, it's reminiscent a little bit to me of, say, when Al Snow, when WWE loaned him to ECW, and Paul Heyman came up with the head gimmick, and it reinvigorated his career. And if Baron Corbin's not doing anything and Mustafa Ali, they're not using him, maybe they can find something in NXT and they can use that to springboard back up. I mean, it makes a lot of sense.
Speaking of reinvigorating careers, here's this son of a bitch, Jordan Cooper, saying, setting the record straight that it was my wife that convinced Jimmy to change the name of the show. She thought it was Listen to Your Boy. Listen, I've been saying that for Listen to Your Boy right now. I was saying that for years.
So technically his wife did not convince me. His wife put the thought in the back of my head. And then it was the fine viewers and listeners of the podcast that convinced me.
That loved humping so much. They did. Speaking of, Mike the Jeweler sent a very generous $25 super chat. Thank you so much, Mike. Says, let's get ready to hump. Says, what's up, SRS and Jimmy? Going to the Souffle show tonight in Hotlanta. Hopefully it humps. Listen to that. He spent all that money to talk about humping, Jimmy.
Okay, he wrote it, so you don't know that he meant to pronounce it in that fashion.
Jimmy, he put 5 P's on the first hump and 4 S's on the second hump.
5 P's, so shouldn't you say hump up up up?
He wanted me to really enunciate it. Daniel says, hi, all. I know I'm a little late to the party. My problem with Roman still having the title is he never wins clean. He should only have help when it's absolutely needed, but that is hard because he doesn't fight many matches. I agree. I think the Rhea Ripley method needs to be sort of added to Roman. Like, let him defend the title randomly on a SmackDown or a pay-per-view and win in a squash. I am fine with that. He is the attraction. He is the thing. Like, he can say, you know, we saw Sami Zayn trying to have a Cinderella story. Let's let somebody else. Let's do a battle royal, and then somebody off the wall wins it. Because Roman Reigns being in a squash match is more attractive to me on a pay-per-view or a SmackDown than no Roman Reigns matches for 2 or 3 months. He didn't defend that title for ages. If he's already wrestling, why not have him defend it a time or two?
Yeah, I mean, like we talked about a couple of weeks ago, I still think Gunther's title reign has been more impressive because Gunther beats everybody clean. Pretty much beats everybody clean. And like we've talked about, Roman's reign has gotten tired because literally every single match over the last 2 years, he has needed outside interference in order to win every single match. And it is tired, man. It is. Like I think about Bret Hart's reign when Bret Hart was the WWE champion. He defended against like everybody. The 1, 2, 3 kid, Rikishi,
Buddy Landell.
Right. Brooklyn Brawler won a battle royal at MSG, and Brooklyn Brawler got a title shot. Although by then Bret had left, and I think Shawn Michaels gave him the title shot.
Sean was holding it.
But still.
And Brooklyn Brawler got a good 2.9 on him, too.
Oh, did he? I haven't seen the whole match. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, it's different. It's something different. And I would love it if they did a battle royal where the winner gets a shot at Roman. I would love it. That'd be something fresh.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't have to be a major angle, but
sure,
something.
Yep.
Daniel says, I'm not against Stadium Stampede, but I hope at some point Kingston and Mox have a lights out match. What match would you like to see added to All In? If any, they have a lot of matches. The Acclaimed and Daddy Ass against House of Black. They've been leaning too much into Daddy Ass for that retirement to be a thing. It makes an awful lot of sense. They need to have that.
I'm surprised the Guns aren't on the card. They've been getting pretty hot.
Yeah, so they have been. They were out there for like an hour the other night. It felt like at Collision because they went. It was like a serious 40 minutes that Bullet Club Gold was out there.
And their entrance is pretty damn cool. I was never a huge fan of the Guns, but their entrance is pretty damn cool. Let's talk about the card. Okay. And I know that changes are coming, and you can mention them kind of as we get to the matches that are affected. So let's talk about the card. So AEW title, MJF against Adam Cole. Now, I mean no disrespect to anybody when I say this, but to me, this doesn't feel like a marquee match for a show of this magnitude. But I
completely
understand.
Disagree.
Okay, well that's my opinion. Like when you think of the biggest shows of all time, Hogan, Andre, Rock, Austin, even Roman, Cena, this match is nowhere close to any of them.
Can you name 3-5 angles in AEW that have been hotter than this one?
That's the problem, and I agree with that. That's the problem.
Hangman and Omega was definitely one. That was definitely one. Punk coming back in general was one. Yeah. This is one of the hottest angles in AEW history, culminating or accelerating on one of the biggest show in AEW history. That's why I am completely fine with it. And MJF delivers in main event matches. This guy in world championship matches works at such an incredible level and never gets credit for it because you often forget how good he is in these matches. Like, think about how great, first off, the tag title match was outstanding. The Ethan Page match was very, very good. But his match with Adam Cole in June was incredible. The 4-way at Double or Nothing was incredible. The Danielson match was an all-timer. He had great ones against CM Punk in big match situations. He had an all-timer in AEW against Darby Allin. He had a great one against Sammy Guevara. He's constantly showed he can work at that very, very top level. He's a special talent.
Sure. So I don't disagree at all about MJF, and I also don't disagree that this story right now is one of the top stories in AEW. But I don't consider it a marquee main event for a show of this magnitude, 80-some thousand people. I just don't. That's just kind of my opinion. But let me ask you this: so on the 0-hour pre-show, they're going to team up first, and they're going to challenge for the Ring of Honor tag team titles against Aussie Open. I'm guessing they win the belts because it adds an extra element to the main event. But what do you think?
I really don't know how this one will go. I mean, it would add an extra element to the main event, and also you could do Kingdom versus Adam Cole and MJF in the future because we saw them on the stage with Roderick Strong in the past. I think there are a lot of different ways because they have stretched this out in such a wonderful way. It hasn't felt like it's gone on too long or anything because of the ripples that keep getting added. I don't know if MJF is going to turn. I don't know if Adam Cole is going to turn. I don't know if Roderick Strong is going to get involved. I don't know if the Kingdom's going to get involved. I don't know how it plays into the main event. I hope that everybody ends up healthy, but I think it'll be a slapper of a match. You got the kangaroo kick already being built, which I was told MJF not only wasn't sure if it'd get over, he thought it might get booed. So like now it's a thing. Now it's a thing that people are expecting and excited for.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know how this will end up, but yeah,
they're teasing a double clothesline as their finisher. I mean, that crowd's gonna.
They already did it.
That's what I'm saying. That crowd's gonna go for anything. Okay, CM Punk, Samoa Joe. Punk's got to win this one, right? He's got to.
I think so. I wouldn't mind him winning the ROH TV title, but probably not.
Is that on the line?
Don't think so, but I wish they would put it on the line.
Okay. Yeah, I think Punk wins. Okay, the AEW women's title. So I'm interested because Soraya's in this match. Yeah. I'm interested to see the reaction she gets. I know Toni Storm as well, but I'm interested to see the reaction that she gets. So
your audio's cutting in and out, by the way.
Is it?
Probably. Yeah, you probably need to do a reconnection there. But anyway, Saraya is one where you can look at and say, okay, this would be a good moment. She could get the win. And if they didn't want her to keep the title that long, she could drop it at any point in the following week. I think there are a lot of good options there. Shida winning or retaining the title, I thought she was going to win the title at All In. I thought that's what they were kind of building to in general. We got you, Jimmy?
Yeah, does it sound better now?
Sounds a little bit better. Yeah, you were just cutting in and out a little bit.
Weird. But anyway, so Shida, Toni Storm, Saraya. Any idea who the fourth participant's going to be?
Britt Baker. It's Britt, Tony, Shida, Saraya.
Oh, I'm sorry. Britt was announced already.
Yeah, it's set. Yeah,
okay.
She won.
Okay. AEW tag titles, FTR, Young Bucks. Young Bucks are winning, right? I'm sure. Although they like to put people over. They do. They like to put people over.
I think that up until last week, FTR were probably winning. And now I think it's not so certain because of the Cash Wheeler situation.
Really? That's the next thing.
I don't know that. That's my assumption. That's not a hunch I've got from within the company.
Right.
I'm just saying, based on what I heard, it was I really got a good hunch that it was going to be FTR. And then after the Cash Wheeler thing, it's like, I don't know. And I know as of right now, AEW is standing behind Cash Wheeler. Yep. I've been told that because they don't think there's sufficient evidence there. And I mean, like if you look at that situation, which we haven't talked about, he's and we should. He had a road rage incident allegedly where he weaved and waved a gun at somebody and pointed at them. And in that situation, by the way, there were arraignments and all this stuff, and then a warrant issued, and then he was arrested and bonded out. He was going to be here. He's at Lexington on Saturday. They just didn't use him on TV for obvious reasons, but he was there. But also, unless the person that is alleging this has like traffic cams or footage themselves of it, it's going to be really, really hard to prove this and have anything really happen from it. This is not me minimizing that situation or anything. It's me being realistic about it. It's going to be very, very difficult for anything to come of this.
Yeah. The other thing about it too is this was in Florida, I believe, right, Sean?
You heard the situation. You know it was in Florida.
Yeah.
You know that's where this type of thing happens.
Well, I was going to say, so Florida now is a permitless state, right? Mm-hmm. So you can carry without a permit. And I'm sure Cash Wheeler, because Cash Wheeler's not he doesn't have the reputation as being this law breaking kind of guy. I think this is his first offense. So, but he can carry without a permit. And so I, like you're kind of saying, I guess, and I'm not a police officer or a judge or a lawyer, but I guess they'd have to prove, did he just hold it up and show it to him? Did he point it at them? And how do they prove it? Because he's legally allowed to have it. So I guess we'll see what happens. Okay. Now here's a couple matches that interest me because of the participants. So one of them is the coffin match, Darby Allin and Sting, Swerve Strickland and AR Fox. It is amazing to me that at the age of 64, Sting, who has seen just about everything, he's seen almost everything, is going to be on the show that's going to break the paid attendance record. Who are you picking? Got to be Sting and Darby. Sting is not losing at Wembley Stadium. What do you think?
Yeah. I think Sting's gonna win that. I think Sting's gotta win that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think that they've been pushing Swerve as a potential like guy, like as a top guy. AR Fox, however, just kind of came around and here he is. But
right,
man, it's a match that I could see things going like a little bit further. Like I could see this continuing a little bit more, but also they have set this up to where I think Sting's going to be the one to win. They had him go into the indie show and everything as well. I like that Tony Khan was very honest this week when somebody said on the media call, oh, yeah, there were rumors that this could be Sting's last match. No, there weren't rumors. There were never it was just people guessing. And Tony Khan said, why would I put a time limit on Sting's career? Why would I push him out the door when he does incredible merch sales and still performs at a high level for us? Like, why the hell would I do that?
It's his decision. I mean, he's earned it. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
The other one.
I was trying to look because it would have been the time that he was around. I thought that Sting maybe worked that Collision in Korea show, but he didn't.
No, it was mostly Japanese guys, and then there were some like Benoit was on the.
Yeah, they had the Steiners over there.
Yeah, they had some Scott Norton and Hawk.
Too Cold Scorpio was on that show. Like, I mean, Sting would have absolutely been a name that I expected to work that. He was
there. I mean, maybe he chose not to because I think they gave him the option. I think. So the other name is Chris Jericho. So Chris Jericho and Will Ospreay are going to be one-on-one. And he's another guy, man. So, you know, it's interesting when you think about when wrestling in the U.S. shifted from the territorial days to having three primary companies, WWE, WCW, ECW, then eventually all kind of got conglomerated into WWE. There are two people still active today that were around back then. One is Sting, the other is Chris Jericho, and both of them are going to be wrestling at All In. Like it's fascinating. And Jericho was in WWE when WrestleMania shifted from arena show to stadium show. He was there for that shift, and now here he is. He's going to be. It's incredible.
I mean, look at that. I mean, Sting wasn't at the Korea show, but he was in WCW when that happened. He was in WCW for their biggest shows. He was in Impact Wrestling for their biggest shows. Jericho was in WWE for a lot of their biggest shows.
Yeah.
And of course he had experience in ECW, but he's also been in New Japan for some of their biggest shows as well. So these guys have seen a little bit of everything.
Yep.
And
it's pretty fascinating.
Pretty incredible.
Yeah. Now Jericho, I don't expect to beat Will Ospreay. Not in the UK. I don't expect
he shouldn't be a baby face over Will Ospreay in the UK either. Yeah. I know that they're like, okay, well, they're going to sing Judas and all that stuff. That's it.
Exactly.
Like, I fully expect Will Ospreay to get heavily cheered there.
And I expect Jericho to roll with it, man.
He should.
You know what I mean? Oh, he will. He will. He'll have no issue with it. And then
I think it'll be a good match too. Like I know Alex is poo-pooing it, but Jericho still puts on great matches with great talent, and I think Will Ospreay is the best performer in the world right now.
It'll be an interesting thing to see what Jericho can do. Okay, Stadium Stampede. So it's supposed to be the Blackpool Combat Club with 3 extra wrestlers against Eddie Kingston, the Best Friends, and Lucha Bros, but changes are afoot. What have you heard about Rey Fenix?
Here's our FightfulSelect.com plug. $5 a month gets you all the exclusive news you could want. Sometimes I'll see people say,
Yeah, I'll just wait until it gets posted online for free.
you will see me dozens of times a month have to correct people for incorrectly or irresponsibly aggregating news, leaving out important context. And then I'll see people below those tweets saying, oh, well, what do you know about? I'll give you a little secret. They don't know shit. They didn't report it. Fightful Select did. Drop $5 a month. You'll get all the exclusive news you want, Q&As, over 40 podcasts a month as well. And you can ask questions on these stories, and I'll do my best to answer it. Heard it with Phoenix. It is a visa issue. It's one that they knew was coming up, though. So they actually booked it with the idea that they would replace him in story. It just didn't make sense to book Penta and not Phoenix and then not do it. I've heard that they do know who the mystery partners are going to be. They should, I think maybe, I don't know if it'll be tonight or Collision, but I don't think it'll be like a moment of thing. I think we're going to know who they are beforehand.
Okay.
In advance. And my hunch is Santana and Ortiz, because Fightful Select reported, best $5 in the business, Santana is cleared and Ortiz was pulled from this weekend's Limitless event. So, and then when I asked around, people around that said it's due to an AEW obligation. Again, a hunch, not a report. We're here to talk some trash, talk some shit. But Santana and Ortiz do not get along.
Right.
Like, they don't get along. But, I see people say, oh, well, why would they be on BCC's side instead of Eddie's side? Well, because Eddie viciously attacked Ortiz with a chair several months ago. And if you remember, Jimmy, Santana was last seen with BCC, Blood and Guts, Anarchy in the Arena. Makes an awful lot of sense to me. So that's how I'm doing the Charlie Day. I got the pins up on the wall and all that stuff. That's me right now. That's what I'm thinking.
So who would be the other one? Because they got 3 guys to announce.
Not if Ray Phoenix is out. They could keep it at 2.
I see. I see.
Now, if they say, oh, well, we're going to replace Ray Phoenix and we got more mystery people.
Right.
Well, hell, I don't have an idea. And Anthony Agogo would fit in with Blackpool Combat Club because he is a fighter and he is from overseas. He is going to be there this week. He is there. I got some news on him on FightfulSelect.com coming this week as well. But yeah, man, just an awful lot there. An awful lot going on. And I've heard there's going to be more changes as well. FightfulSelect.com right after this show, the list goes on. We're going to drop a bunch of AEW news on you. How about that? Pew-pew.
All right. Now, the last one is Kenny Omega, and I left that last for a reason. So the Golden Elite against Bullet Club Gold and Takeshita. It's got to be Omega and Ibushi and Hangman. It's got to be, right?
Maybe. Depending on what they're doing with the Takeshita thing. I fully expect Takeshita and Omega to split today or this week and All Out. But I think that giving Takeshita a one-on-one win over Kenny means an awful lot more.
Yeah,
right.
You're right. Yeah, unless they want to have him pin Kenny here and then Kenny gets him one-on-one. It's possible.
Or if they really want to make Takeshita, have him beat Kenny both times.
I don't know if they'll do that. I don't know.
I bet Kenny wouldn't give a shit.
Oh, I don't think he would.
Kenny would care.
I don't think he would. So this leads me to kind of a funny side note, and this is why I mentioned the Omega match last. So Paul White was interviewed last month by DAZN, and he was asked, if you could book All In, what match would you have headlined the show if you could book All In? And what did Paul White say? Kenny Omega against Paul White. That's what he said. What do you think about that, Sean? And here's what he said. He said,
horrible.
He said, we could tear the house down. That's what he said.
John Merritt says Jericho is singing himself to the ring. Fozzy playing live. Can't wait. My first AEW show. You're going to love it. You're going to have a lot of fun. I am very excited for that environment in general.
It will be fun.
Reminder, guys, leave a thumbs up on this video. We got Amandine saying, sad for Phoenix. He can't be at Forbidden Door. Now All In. How is this possible? Why say he will be here and 1 week later cancel visa stuff? I'm sure he'll probably be on All Out or something like that. He can work in America, but he's trying to gain residence, I believe. Chris says, hard to believe Vince is booking women better than Triple H. Yes, he was. And that is wild to think. Broadway Joe says, main of All In should have been Kenny versus Punk. Don't care about personal feelings. Neither should TK. Also, personally would have pushed back FTR, Cole, Max to the show, then do the one-on-one at All Out. Yeah, maybe. I mean, when Cole and Max is as hot as it is, you got to capitalize off that. You got to have a world championship match on that. Now, it is very, very easy. And Broadway Joe, thank you for the super chat, but it's very easy for people that aren't dealing with the possible legal ramifications of booking Kenny Omega versus CM Punk to say, Tony just shouldn't have cared. People got bitten and chairs got thrown at people and there are NDAs signed. It is not that simple, unfortunately.
I think what it comes down to ultimately is that one or both competitors didn't want to work together.
I agree.
Because like we've talked about in the past, there have been incidents in wrestling before worse than that. And you know, they were able to somehow kind of get these guys together, but you can't if Omega, you know, because of his alliance to the Bucks, if Omega's like, well, I don't want to work, but what are you going to do?
Exactly.
What are you going to do? So they're in a tough spot. That's just how it is.
Bizarro Big L says, Bizarro theory. If Adam and MJF lose the first match and the Kingdom interfere, would Adam rise as the new Dark Order leader and jump them all? Not that serious, but a random thought. Any news on Danhausen or a blimp? Safe travels, Sean. No, I don't think Adam Cole's going to be anywhere near Dark Order at all. Danhausen will be in Chicago next weekend. When I spoke to him in April, he told me he was feeling a little bit better, said he didn't want to be on TV and injured because he was that guy when he first got hired. He was injured when they brought him in, and he didn't want to be that guy. So I completely get that. Speaking of injuries, how's Kyle O'Reilly doing? Working out, but I haven't heard anything regarding his return. No plans on the horizon. Dylan James, do you think Adam Cole wins, but MJF has something written into the contract and Adam signed that MJF can't lose the title? I feel like there might be some shenanigans to that contract that Adam Cole signed, Jimmy, but I don't want to do a dusty finish at Wembley. That'd be bad. That goes against the spirit of AEW, I think.
I think MJF's got to come out with the title because, you know, with all due respect to Adam Cole, MJF is kind of like the star of the company and the face of the company. I do think that something's going to happen with the contract because there was focus put on it, that he signed it without really looking at it. But who knows? Maybe Cole pins him and then the contract says it's best 2 out of 3. I mean, who knows? But it won't surprise me if that's what they do. We
got Amir saying if they had done YouTube Beautiful Day promos about Cole's injury and coming back, I bet people would think the match was bigger. I think that they probably say they're saving that for different content, so to speak. I can tell you that I know that Adam Cole's concussion was very serious, and it like that is not overplayed. Like it is, he thought his career might be done. And
you might know the reference, but that's a Triple H reference.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, Triple H when he came back in 2002. Yeah, of course. NBA Mixed Doc says, sadly, I anticipate Chicago getting a watered down week of shows following All In. Thoughts? Well, my thought is NBA Mixed Docs. If you're worried about anything being watered down, you should just pay less for it. And I've got the way that you can do that. It's nordvpn.com/Fightful. Probably need to find that updated graphic that Melissa sent me.
Yep, hey, I don't have it.
NordVPN.com/Fightful allows you to get pay-per-views at a much more affordable rate than what you're getting them. That's because you can subscribe to overseas service, change your virtual location with just one click, and then do it. They got 24/7 customer support that helps you out anytime you need it. So if you're like, oh, what source should I use? What service should I subscribe to? How do I use this? How do I use that? Well, NordVPN is going to help you out. And how about this? I just helped myself out. A huge discount and 4 extra months free with NordVPN.com/Fightful. Also, the best pop-up blocker I've ever seen. The ability to browse safely and securely at the airport, at the restaurant, the hotel, anywhere where you're traveling. People are trying to get all up in my goodies, Jimmy, and NordVPN.com/Fightful allows me to keep my goodies protected. Ain't nobody going to see my humps unless it's Wednesday at 3 p.m. thanks to NordVPN.com/Fightful.
This one actually says the 4 additional months. Where'd you get your 1 month from? Is that like really old?
It was an old one, yeah.
Okay.
Or hear me out. They could just make a very vague one and we wouldn't have to update it so much, Jimmy.
Well, you know, they pay the money. They can kind of have some say.
No, not them. Not them.
Oh,
not
you mean
them.
the graphics team?
Melissa.
They do it with the assets they're given, Sean.
They don't have to put those assets on there. They could make a vague one for me to just use whenever.
You got to get approval.
Is Vince expected to be gone long term? Get approval for what?
Have you ever dealt with corporate sponsors before?
Have I ever dealt with corporate sponsors, Jimmy? Until 2 months ago, I quite literally sold every sponsor that this website ever got in the first 7 years. Hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of sponsors.
You're right,
Me.
but I'm the one that came up with the idea to put graphics on screen and overlays. You never did that
Yes,
before.
you were the first one to ever do that.
With Fightful. That was my
Indeed.
idea. And most sponsors want approval before you change the creative they give you.
They ain't never approved a damn thing.
That's because we use their graphics, Sean. That's why.
Ain't no sponsor ever approved a damn thing. Blue Chew doesn't care what I say at this point. They don't have room to care what I say for
You're
what
right.
their own founders
Blue
said.
Chew's cool with it. Yeah, they're cool with it.
Yeah. And they know the drill. Contracts are contracts. James Higgins says, "Hope you're well, gents. Given a recent post building the games arcade in Japan. Any news on if Asuka's considering retirement soon? I haven't heard anything like that. I've heard no chatter within WWE or anything like that.
I never heard she's building an arcade. Is that true?
She's always been big into gaming and stuff like that, but it wouldn't surprise me at all. Is Vince expected to be gone long term? I would be surprised if you saw him. Listen, how do I frame this? I wouldn't be surprised if Vince was done, because I feel like when this thing merges and a lot of stuff goes public, there will be an awful lot of embargoes that are lifted on certain things that have been said, that have occurred, people that have been reached out to, stories that have been leaked, etc. I think there's a possibility there's going to be more down the line. That's the feeling I get. It would not shock me to see more stuff leaked to the Wall Street Journal.
Yep. So his deal, I'm sure, has provisions that protect his spot as chairman, but those provisions cannot be protected by further allegation. Mm-hmm. And so, like you're saying, it would not surprise. I mean, finding out that he was raided by the feds wouldn't surprise me if maybe more allegations come out, because the feds think they got something or they wouldn't have done it. And so, yeah, I think he's going to be sitting on the sidelines for a while until that wraps up and he is deemed not guilty. We'll see.
Ricardo says, here's to 30 more months. Love Fightful. Well, we appreciate you, Ricardo. You're always so awesome to us. Joker, early on in the show, said, do you guys think that the immense ticket sales allowed TK to settle when it comes to CMFTR versus the Elite? If ticket sales weren't high, I can't imagine Tony would have pushed that feud no matter what. Thanks, guys. Yeah, I think that if it were sitting around 30, 35,000, he'd be like, listen, guys, gonna need some help here. But guess what? Now he can turn around next year and say, hey, guys, we got this big show coming up. We need some help.
You don't think they're going to book Wembley next year again, do you?
You never know.
I wouldn't. That's not a good idea.
Either.
No, but I do want to say one thing about.
I book Soldier Field and do it.
There you go. I want to say one thing about the ticket sales, because I saw some. I don't know if debate is the right word online. Oh, they broke the record. Oh, they didn't break the record. All this bullshit from people. So the paid attendance record still is WrestleMania 32, which is 80,709 fans. All In has more tickets distributed. They have 80,846 distributed, according to WrestleTix, as of August 18. You can't say they broke the attendance record till after the show. And so that's the reason why there was some discourse online. Some people saying this, that they already broke the record. They will break the record, but you got to wait until after the show to see what the paid attendance number is, but they got more distributed. And so they will beat the record, but they just haven't as of yet.
Any news on Alex and Kate doing a review of Jarrett versus Hardy? I wish they would. I would love to have that on Select. When AEW do pay-per-views, when do they announce the lineup for meet and greet? Got tickets for Box Park for Saturday at Wembley and no names announced. I've been asking about that and the welcome party and stuff. I don't have any info on that. Jimmy, what did you think of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre match?
I actually have that on the list. So when I saw it, was it good? No. Okay, fine. Was it good? No. But I'm not going to criticize it for two reasons. Reason number one, WWE had zombies kill The Miz on a pay-per-view once. That's reason number one. Reason number 2, AEW gave all the proceeds from that show to the Maui Food Bank.
Yep.
At a time when people could really use it. And I read somewhere, I don't know where I got this number from. I read somewhere that AEW got 100,000 in sponsorship money.
Jeff Jarrett said that was a low amount. That he said it was actually way more. Yeah.
Okay. So they got sponsorship money for that gimmick, which they then donated to charity. And so for that reason, I'm not going to criticize it. It was stupid, but it had a purpose. So I can't criticize it. When WWE had the Zombies kill Miz, that money went in their pockets. And
true.
That's the difference.
Yeah, you can see our thoughts on this last week's review. We made it the main event of our review.
Oh, did you?
Yes,
question for you. Jeff Jarrett Grado. I thought that was happening.
It ain't happening. More after this show on FightfulSelect.com. That'll be a part of our update today.
Because you realize, right, that stadium, 80,000 plus, you hit Madonna's music.
Yeah, Madonna.
They're going to go Madonna. Yeah, they're going to go.
You said Madonna.
I'm sorry, Madonna. They're going to go apeshit, Sean, because they know it. So I'd be surprised if they don't do it. I'd be very surprised. You know,
they ain't doing it. Colin says, Jimmy, why did you stop doing Know Your News live? Because he ain't got no heart. That's why.
If I'm being honest, it's because I found that committing every Thursday to the same time became a challenge because I have other stuff going on in my life and other business projects. Yeah. Plus I'm building a new house. And so I found doing it every Thursday just became a challenge, and I didn't want to shortchange my viewers. So that's why I now have Vince Bracey and Tyler Herchuk. They are doing it for me. They rotate weeks, and they're both doing a really good job. Vince Bracey used to be the Clippers hype guy for the LA Clippers. And he's a really funny guy. And Tyler Herchuk does a lot of voiceover stuff for Know Your News. So they're doing it for me for that.
Those weekday afternoons are precious. If I could find a good weekday afternoon to do a show with Denise where it would work for both of us, I'd probably do that instead of us doing a Raw review together. But it's tough to find. It's tough. Safe travels to the UK, says Mr. Acosta. Thoughts on NXT's G1 style tourney? Good. See if it works for NXT. See if it works for your talent. I'm all for it.
I never realized how tall Ava Rain is. Now, granted, Ivy Nile is on the shorter side, so it might not be a fair comparison, but she looked like a giant in there on NXT. Like, I couldn't believe she's got to be 5'9" easy, right? Mm-hmm. I was surprised.
She's tall.
Yeah, she is.
Rock Hard says, when the Endeavor merger goes through, do you think we'll start to see a rash of debuts and returns similar to what happened after Triple H took over? Yeah, I do. That's just a personal thing. I don't see why you would hold off on Carlito, possibly Nia, possibly Kyrie, all these people just to do another. I should probably publish who I've heard is signed at this point, because what the hell? People on Twitter bat like 0 for 10, and people go, "Man, you're great at news." So I should just blurt it out.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
You sure do. You certainly do. Brian Smith says, I know they're not offering bundles, but any words on pricing for All Out? It's not showing on BR Live. 100 in a week just seems wild. Get that nordvpn.com/Fightful, Brian, for a little more than what you paid for this super chat. You're going to save yourself some money. That is a plug, but it is sincerely, like, Denise uses it. I use it. Tons of people use it. It goes a long, long way. People in the chat, let them know. Just let them know. Shire says, begging for Triple H to take over all WWE women's divisions since he's the only booker in WWE that cares about them. Any news on the tourney he's doing next week? Just a new idea they're working with, but Shawn Michaels, he books the women very well. It's something Denise and I talked about on Monday at length, but I'm glad that he is sort of, he's giving people hope in that regard.
Why is it that you think that the women, now there is exceptions because Rhea's presented strong. They always presented Charlotte strong because Charlotte's kind of like the corporate choice sort of. Why is it, do you think, that the women have not been presented as strongly with Hunter in charge, considering that Hunter is a former talent? And so you think if anybody would want to kind of beat for the talent, it would be a former main eventer. Why do you think that is? Do you think maybe he's overwhelmed? He's got too much going on?
Possibly. I just think, like, man, you could just delegate a lot of this and just make it a lot better.
they have so much good. It's not like they have a roster full of women that are ham and eggers. You know what I mean? Like these are
they got good people.
Really good, really good. And so it's surprising that they're not getting a better opportunity. Rhea's crushing it.
Yes, she is.
But she's also getting the opportunity, and not a lot of them are. Chelsea as well. Chelsea's doing a really good job.
Chelsea's doing great.
Yeah.
We got a ton of super chats. Joel Wood says, I watched Edge on the Bump, and he says he'd love to face Sammy in the future. Didn't say he's done, and about how much he loves younger talent in WWE. Hope he stays. There are people in AEW that just thought, yeah, he'll come over here for a while maybe. But I haven't heard like any real traction to that movement. But people ask for an update. I asked people in AEW. People in AEW think it's really possible he can come over there. I think that Edge, because he lies publicly, like he did about returning, foggies things a little bit. He fogs it up a little bit to where you don't know, is this really his last match on the contract?
Right.
Is his deal really up in September? He says that so you don't think he'll be at All In or All Out, because maybe he won't really be at All In or All Out. So maybe he's just managing expectations. There's a lot to it.
You know, when you put yourself in his shoes, and I don't know Adam Copeland, so I'm just kind of giving my opinion. So on the one hand, he seems like a pretty loyal guy. And WWE kind of made him, and he met his wife there and everything. I could see him having that loyalty.
When Tony inquired about bringing him in, he hit up Vince McMahon and he said, here's what's on the table.
Right.
And Vince said, I want you to return here.
Right.
That's what happened.
And I could see that, but at the same time, you don't think it's gone through the back of his head. You know, I'm winding down. My career's almost done. They got Christian and they got Jeff and Matt. Like, listen, you don't think I would in the back of his head?
I would dust off Spike Dudley and get Bubba in there too. Whatever thing you can get. Also, FTR are there. Quite literally, the guys who helped him return. Right. And the guys that he actively referenced on WWE TV during the Seth Rollins angle. Like, if you remember when Rollins did the break-in angle, he name-dropped Dax and Cash, their real names, backstage on the phone because they're really close with him.
Right.
Like,
right.
I think it's possible. And Dax told me on the air that he thought it was possible and he hopes it would happen. But
I know a lot of WWE loyalists would be pretty pissed off if he showed up on AEW television. Yeah. But when you put yourself in his shoes, I understand, especially because he is looking to wrap it up, and it'd be a full circle moment for Edge and Christian and the Hardys to get at it again. So it wouldn't surprise me if that happened. I've told you my personal Edge story. Do you remember my personal Edge story?
Yes.
So I'll make it quick if anybody's never heard it. So back in
how you took a picture of him when he was peeing at the urinal.
That's another Edge story.
Okay.
No. So back in '98, when I was first in Toronto, and he was still on the Indies, he was getting ready to go to WWE. He was still on the Indies as Sexton Hardcastle, and I didn't know who he was. The one thing I noticed about him, I saw him backstage at an indie show. He definitely looked different than the typical Canadian Ontario independent wrestler. He was a big guy. He had the aesthetic and he had the gear and everything. Whoever I'm talking to, he goes up to the guy and he goes, "Where's my locker room?" And the guy goes, "Oh, down that way to the left." And I said, "This guy's got his own locker room. Who the hell does he think he is?" And it went on to be WWE Hall of Famer Edge. So there you
go. We have just a ton of super chats. We're probably going to go a little bit over today. Devo Miller says, after the show, the list goes on, should be renamed. The hump goes on. I like to keep the list involved a little bit. Will Elite be in Chicago? They'll be booed bad, right? They are planned for Chicago, last I checked.
And they should just bask in it.
Omega.
Bask in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted Joker Sting and got it. Wanted more in-ring promos. We get 4 the next Collision. In the next 2 weeks of Collision, full of jobbers and non-regulars. It was a long show to sit through. That much I'll tell you. That much I'll tell you. It was a lot.
I want to ask you something about Collision.
Sure.
So I believe you had reported. Now, let me say before I say anything else, it's still way too early to pass judgment on a new show. You got to give it at least 6 months, let viewership settle in. It's too early to pass judgment. I think you had reported that Warner Brothers Discovery said they'd be happy top 5. Is that correct? Top 5 Saturday's key demo. Is that right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So last Saturday, Collision did 482,000 viewers. They did a 0.17 rating in the key demo. They were number 13 for the night on cable. Some of their competition was strong, like UFC prelim coverage, NFL preseason football, but they also got beat by stuff like a show on Reels called On Patrol Live, which I've never freaking heard of in my life.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, I'm sure you have it on your DVR. I asked you off the air, can you find out from Warner Brothers Discovery if they're cool with these numbers, if that becomes the norm? Because a while back, Brandon Thurston posted numbers of what they were doing on TNT with movies that they were in, like old movies.
Yeah.
And they were doing better key demo ratings than this. And so I'm curious if Warner Brothers is cool with it. But again, I don't think you could pass judgment until at least the 6-month mark. It's too early.
Also, it all is going to be dependent on the deal that they reach about first run, rerun content, streaming content, and all that. It might, even though a movie might do better for Warner in that
that time slot, right?
In that time slot, well, if they come to a deal with AEW and they say, hey, well, we want the opportunity to run this after the fact, maybe they want to do a rerun at midnight or something, or maybe they want the next day streaming rights as well. They can immediately put that up on their streaming service. They can put the back catalog up on the streaming service. They can move it around as they see fit. They can switch it. That's one of the benefits that I mentioned, like WWE with the Disney stuff. They can put it on any number of channels and then run it on ESPN at 2 p.m. the following afternoon. And maybe they get 100,000 more viewers, and that would be more beneficial than drone racing or something like that.
Right.
It all depends on the deal that they hatch, because people are out on Saturdays, but also, as Tony mentioned, there are also a lot of people that are going to be flipping on their TV and discovering that wrestling is on. However, channel flipping is largely a thing of the past. People don't use their remote and flip through channels as much anymore.
As often,
they generally know what they're
or they look at the guide. Yeah, one or the other.
Of course.
I want to say something quickly. Somebody in the chat named Scott01, he said Vince will be the largest shareholder in TKO. I don't believe that's correct. Vince is the largest shareholder of the 49% of TKO, which is the WWE side. Endeavor is going to be the largest overall shareholder of TKO. So I don't believe that's correct.
We have a bunch of super chats to get through. Catch fan says the booking of Katana and Caden, Isla and Alba is pathetic. They should go back to NXT or walk out of WWE for Impact Wrestling. Listen, the first part of that is true. It is pathetic. Yes, if they want to make about 1/5 of what they make in WWE, they should walk out for Impact Wrestling. Impact is not paying a lot. R. Red says, do you think MJF Cole will do a double turn a la Bret Austin, maybe a double turn with a title change? I think that's a real possibility, Jimmy.
Yep. The people are with MJF. And I want to say something about MJF too. I want to give him props for something, because I've noticed something different with him lately. So it used to be that when he did media, and I'm not talking wrestling media, I'm talking like media, he would do it in character all the time. And he'd be kind of like that MJF jerk character. I have seen him do media lately where
Jimmy,
he's not what?
He's in character.
But he's talking legit. He's not being an asshole. He's talking
because
legit.
He's in character.
Oh, because he's being the current babyface guy?
Yes.
Well,
Jimmy, I have heard, here's a story that I
maybe
heard
you
recently.
understand that. Maybe you understand that, but the people watching the show that don't know him don't know that.
I know, but that's the point. That's the point. He's so good at it, he blurs the lines. I heard a story where somebody was like, hey, where's Max? And they're like, oh, he's talking to those fans over there. He never does that. That's a part. It's all a part of everything. He's next level with that stuff. It's part of the act. Phil says, hi, both. Is Dalton Castle signed yet? He's been brilliant every time he's been on TV. Looking forward to All In. Might see you there. I believe so. The boys did announce that they've signed. They've been in negotiations of late as well, but I believe Dalton Castle is signed. He's there an awful lot, too. Van Twinblade says, already got All In with Nord using the UK server. Hell yeah, my friend. Rick Flame says, do you think All In can spark AEW domestically? The contrast is jarring. Every venue down from previous. Grand Slam going from 20 to 5K is crazy.
That's true.
Prices, as of now, we are before two major pay-per-views. So we'll see how things hash out after that.
Final, right.
Prices play a part, but that isn't the main reason people aren't paying. Well, also, you could argue that as of the point of the first Grand Slam, that was going to be the biggest show they ever did.
Always, sure. And that's the reason why I said, why would they do Wembley next year? Because they're not.
But even if they go down to 10K, that ain't good. Right. I think that a lot of people are good. It's almost the WWE method. You can watch the pay-per-views or the special events, and you're all right.
Yeah, the only thing I want to add to that, like I don't disagree that it's true that their ticket sales have been down in the US. However, Dynamite is still top 3 every week.
Yeah.
And that's really what matters to Warner Brothers, I think.
Caden says, I'll be at the tapings, ready for 10 hours. Send some shorts to Kyler, Caden. Corey says, let's talk Edge. Percentage likelihood he does go to AEW. I'm going to say 40%.
That he goes to AEW.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to put yourself in his position. I mean, he lives in small town, I think, North Carolina. Him and Beth, they're set financially. So I don't know. I mean, when you look at it again, he's done everything there is to do in WWE, unless he wants to work some of the younger talent. AEW, he could, put a bow on his career.
He's even worked some of the younger talent. He just worked Grayson Waller too. Yeah.
Right. Like in AEW, he could put a bow on his career. Him and Christian, one more run. I could see that being something that's appealing to him. He still posts photos of him and Jay, like going to hockey games and stuff.
Yeah.
So I could see that being appealing to him.
KE775, do you think Judgment Day kicks out a member by Fastlane next month, or do you think they let the tension simmer for a big moment? For example, War Games Survivor Series. I think they will overcome the dissension that we see between them, and it will be like, all right, big happy family. And I think that actually JD McDonough will join and play a role in join Judgment Day as well.
Yes. I want to ask you something about Judgment Day and get your thoughts.
Sure.
So April 17 was the first Raw main event right after WrestleMania where Judgment Day main evented. Yeah. And that night on April 17, their opponents were Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, and Matt Riddle. That was 4 months ago. Over the last 2 months straight, the main event every single week of Raw has featured some combination of Judgment Day on one side, either tag or singles, and some combination of Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, or Sami Zayn on the other side every single week for 2 months. Raw this week did 1.59 million viewers. They were up against preseason football, but they were up against preseason football last year too, and they did, I think, over 2 million last year. Yeah. I think that they're too light at the top, and I think that the same formula of Judgment Day against some combination Cody, Seth, Sammy, I think it's getting tired. What are your thoughts on that?
We said that on the show this week, and we actually had a short produced for it. Yeah, it's like 15 matches since like May. Same Cody, Sammy, Seth, KO, and Judgment Day. It's nonstop.
No, and I don't even remember why they're feuding anymore. Like, I don't even remember why they're feuding. And I looked at the Raw roster on WWE.com to see.
I mean, if they've got titles, you don't need a reason. The title can be the reason, but also we're past that at this point.
So when I looked at the Raw roster to see what options do they have in terms of people to elevate, they do have some people, right? They got Ricochet, they got Bronson Reed, they got Johnny Gargano, Dexter Lumis, Tommaso Ciampa, even Odyssey Jones, who's listed as a Raw talent. None of them are doing anything. And so I think WWE needs to elevate somebody, maybe bring in some free agents, maybe do a brand swap. What do you think about who could they elevate? Like, who do you think they could elevate in order to put in the main event picture? Because it is getting stale.
Drew being back into it, if he can resign.
Shake the tag team thing. Or shake the tag team.
Riddle isn't going to be there anytime soon. They don't have any extended confidence in him, and I understand. Braun is out for like a year, so it ain't going to be him. Johnny and Tommaso are probably going to be a team when they come back. I do like that they elevated Nakamura to that level.
I like his promo segment too.
Yeah, Bronson could be a guy, but he's got to win matches. Got to win matches to do that.
You're right.
So that's the one that I look at right there. On SmackDown, it's really barren over there. Besides LA Knight could be a guy that emerges either way because the people love him so much. Gunther, after everything, could be, but they're not doing a really good job of setting up who is next. It's just like shocking! This person wants the title. Whoa! Type of thing.
Right. Okay.
Catch fan, is it true? Is it true Indy and Candice get pushed to the tag team? I haven't heard that, but they are going to be teaming together. If Dustin goes back to WWE, will he be Goldust or him? Goldust is Dustin Rhodes at this point. Everybody knows that it's him. It's a nickname.
He could do
more
both.
than a gimmick.
Yeah,
he's basically that right now.
Yeah, like basically. Yeah.
Caden says, as a college kid whose major is sports journalism, I won't be watching Collision for 4 months, and I'm a hardcore Just a bad time slot, in my opinion. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of people that don't watch that. That just don't watch it on Saturdays. Amir says, any word on Mercedes Moné, that is.
Yeah.
I have to assume she wasn't hurt. She'd be at Wembley. I don't know if that's the case. I mean, there haven't been any extended conversations with AEW that have resulted in a deal that I've heard of. But, man, she's been out for quite a while now. The ankle timeline would be about right, pretty near. I'll tell you what, if she shows up, that place will friggin' explode. Absolutely.
It would. Her and Bailey are teasing a lot of stuff lately on social media.
Yeah. I would try to get a bidding war going. Michael Higgins says, is it safe to assume the Elite and Punk will be in the same building tonight as Collision is also being taped after Dynamite? Yeah, the Bucks are scheduled for tonight.
And they had been before, yeah? I think so.
Yes, for Forbidden Door.
Yeah.
Meet Norma says, it's a great day for humping. What's going on with Keith Lee? Even before the miscommunication last week, he seems more lost than when he went Bearcat. I wouldn't say more than Bearcat, but no real focus has been put on him. Basically, last week, as Fightful Select, best $5 in the business, reported, there were a lot of rumors going around that Keith Lee was leaving AEW.
Really?
Yeah, but it wasn't the case. Last week, he was told, hey, you're not booked for Dynamite. He left, but he wasn't told, oh, you are booked for Rampage. Then when they reached out to him, he was gone.
Oh.
So, yeah. Which that is not like, I had people in AEW that's like, yeah, it's kind of on us type of thing. Like, people leave. Is it me or has Becky been booked really bad since Triple H took over? Yeah, I think she's been booked really, really bad. I don't think she's been booked in. I think she's been booked in interesting spots, but not given the opportunity or the time to really make something come to fruition for her. So
her and Trish has been a gross disappointment because Trish is the best of her era. Becky is arguably the best or one of the best of her era. It's been a gross disappointment, and it's hard for me to believe that after all these weeks of her getting double team 2-on-1 with Zoe Stark, that Becky still doesn't have a buddy out there. It's foolish. I did want to ask you, do you think her and Hunter collaborated on the lemon shirt?
I hope.
Because Hunter mentioned it in the scrum after she mentioned it on social media. Then she's drinking lemonade on Raw. Now she's got a lemon shirt. So I wondered.
I mean, he's got to know it's good for business too. He used to do that shit all the time.
Yeah, I'm sure he does. Yeah.
Do you think there's a realistic chance of Edge showing up in AEW after his contract runs out? I do. I really do think there's a realistic chance. People in AEW think there's a realistic chance, and they talk to Edge more than I ever have, which is 0 times. Any news on Goldberg? I know that AEW has wanted to do business with him. When I asked like a month ago, I was told, not yet, but I don't know what that means. Anime Otaku says, looking forward to Sunday, but I really hope they come to Scotland next time, at least for television. Surprised they didn't do TV in the UK this time. I'm not, because if you want to sell out a building, you want them to believe that it is the only time you're going to be able to see them there. And sorry, I just stumbled because, listen, I just want to specify, Fightful has not verified this, but Ric Flair just tweeted that he is claiming that Terry Funk passed away.
Oh, shit. I know he hasn't been well. That's unfortunate. We'll have to look it up.
Yeah.
Confirm it.
Yeah, we'll work to confirm that. Oh, man. I hope that it's an error, but Rick is usually looped in on that type of thing. You know what I mean? Oh, man, that sucks. Obviously, if we get confirmation on that, we'll discuss it at the top of the AEW show this evening as well, and I will work to confirm it. Rick Flame says, if Punk Elite never happened, wouldn't it need to happen before the new media rights deal to maximize it? Would be telling if it didn't happen soon. No, they could be leveraging that and saying, if you get our TV rights, you also get Elite and Punk, assuming it happens. So that's possible.
I don't think creative is going to play a hand in the deal, and it shouldn't. It shouldn't. So,
we are heading down the home stretch, guys. I just want to say thank you all. You have been so supportive with super chats and humper chats since this became the hump. Percentage, Drew, Seth, Becky stay in WWE. I'm going to say 50%.
For Drew.
Yeah, 50%, 75%, 75%. AEW is going to have a lot of new TV money, and they are going to be able to disperse that in any way that they want.
Yeah, I see Rollins and Becky being kind of WWE lifers.
Yeah, but
So-
I saw Cody being an AEW lifer. I saw a lot of people being WWE lifers. So
yeah, I suppose. I mean, they've been handled differently than Cody was, but you're right, because I can't remember, was Dusty Dusty had passed before he left, yeah? Before he left WWE.
Yes, he
Yeah,
had.
yeah,
Yes, because
okay.
he came. It's a big part of the documentary, actually.
Yeah.
Which I heavily encourage people to watch. Crispy325 wraps us up, says, SRS, never had a drink your entire life. That's pretty impressive. Keep up the good work. Looking forward to your London content. Safe travels. Yeah, just not something quite frankly, when I was younger, I couldn't even afford to have a habit like that or indulge in something like that. It's just not something I picked up. Not ever planning on it.
Well, you know what? In college, I had enough for both of us. So all good, Sean Ross Sapp.
And the way that I tell people, like, I used to be very strict, straight edge. I smoke a little weed before bed because it helps me sleep. And I don't want to be intoxicated or under the influence, assuming a Hulk Hogan throws his ass out of the back of a truck and just takes a shit on a freeway. And I've got to do a live podcast and I'm baked out of my gourd about it. I mean, honestly, it might help a little bit. I did smoke weed on the air the night of the India, the Saudi Arabia WWE rumors, because people just weren't listening.
That was
People
what a night that was.
Thanks for the super chats that night, guys, is all I have to say. We are headed over to The List Goes On. We are dropping a bunch of AEW news for tonight, for All In, some contract news. Perhaps the biggest contract news in AEW history. That isn't at all misleading. At all.
He's going to mean that the paper is like this
championship news. AEW contract news. Big name title holders that are on the show all the time. Until next time, guys, please leave a thumbs up. Check out our prediction show with Stephanie and John. Check out Grapsity this week. Check out all of our interviews. Until next time, we're out.